I was like, how do I get involved? Like, how do I mobilize? So for me, it was very much a call to action. Have I been successful? No, I'm late to everything. Show up 3 hours late to a protest. Jesus Christ. But the spirit is there, and I'm still looking for ways to give back to my community. And I thought the best way to do that is, being a Black woman, the best way to give back is for me to like live my best life.
I love that. I always say my favorite way to combat racism is Black girl joy. They hate seeing Black people happy.
They hate seeing Black people happy. That's why they keep burning down freaking Black cities.
Mind over matter is magic. I do magic. Don't even know now. Mind over matter is magic. I do magic. Don't even know now.
Welcome.
Hi. Is that
to Mind Over Matter, baby. I'm your host, DEJA Wallace, and if this is your first time joining me, welcome. If this is not your first time joining me, welcome back. I appreciate you. You real, you loyal. Shout out to you. You my dog for real. Like, you came back to listen to another episode of Mind Over Matter, baby. Today, we got some big guests in the building. I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves. As you can see, they're ready to introduce themselves.
I am Shawntel, and this is...
My name is Justin.
We are a couple. We've been together for 10, going on 11 years.
Okay, so for me, let me just
Yeah, we don't have to go into BLM. You can...
No, I'm about to right now.
Okay.
So I remember, like, I was on my laptop and I had seen a commercial, and it was like a whole commercial about like just this Asian man in a subway station, and somebody was harassing him, and it was just like a Stop Asian Hate commercial, a whole campaign for it, right? And in my head, I was like kind of upset at it because, of course, what's going on is awful, but then in my head, I'm like, yo, I've never seen any type of commercial trying to combat racism towards Black people. Of course, there's movies, but the movies just reiterate or confirm the reality of Black males being a target in America. And it's no type of like, it's not helping at all. It's just playing into the psychology of like Black people are a threat. It doesn't help at all, any of these movies that they're putting out. And it's very damaging to watch that movie as a Black person, psychologically seeing, your people be killed again and again and again and again. So after seeing that commercial, I kind of got upset because I'm like, wow, there's no initiatives in place like by the government to help stop police brutality. Of course, Black Lives Matters is in place. I was just like, wow, it's like actual money going into like YouTube commercials going into like, Stop Asian Hate. And I'm not mad at that. I'm just mad that there's not anything that's like put in place to where it's like people take Black Lives Matter seriously. Like, okay, you put a black screen as your profile picture. What are you really doing though? Okay, you put a hashtag, but where is it really going? It's still happening. It's not being talked about now, but it's still happening. And it's been happening for years and years and years. It's just social media came. And that's just my perspective on it. And I'm not taking away from any nationality. But I just feel like we don't have no progress when it comes to like stopping racism.
So like, this is a big topic. I believe that I'm a bit more politicized than Justin is. Like, I'm a bit more I wouldn't say involved, but I'd say a bit more aware of stuff like Stop Asian Hate and BLM. because it hit home really hard during the pandemic, and we had George Floyd and all those shenanigans, and then all the names that keep coming up, all the victims.
It's reminding you, like,
It's like not just reminding, but for me that was like an awakening. Like I've always been looking for a way to give back to my community, but I hadn't been aware of how much suffering my community was going through. So for me, it was like, I'm trying to be with these people and like connect with these people, and I don't even know that police brutality was that intense. And things like being murdered in your bed during a raid is possible because they got the wrong room. Like, entirely wrong person, and you're murdered in your sleep. That's terrifying. Like, it wasn't in New York State, but like other things happen in New York State that they just don't talk about. So it's like, I was like, how do I get involved? Like, how do I mobilize? So for me, it was very much a call to action. Have I been successful? No, I'm late to everything. Show up 3 hours late to a protest. Jesus Christ. But you know, the spirit is there, and I'm still looking for ways to give back to my community. And I thought the best way to do that is, being a Black woman, the best way to give back is for me to like live my best life. You know,
I love that. I always say my favorite way to combat racism is Black girl joy. They hate seeing Black people happy.
They hate seeing Black people happy. That's why they keep burning down freaking Black cities. Oh my God. Every piece of information I learned made me so angry. And I have had to sit with that anger and process that anger and try and do something with it. But I've never personally been a victim of like outright hate crimes, out and out hate crimes. Probably a couple microaggressions here and there.
But that also has to do with where we live.
Yeah, that also has to do with where we live. And that was more when I was in Pennsylvania. I went to Pennsylvania for college. It was middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. And these people meant well, but sometimes the things that came out of their mouths was like, okay, wow, cool. Like, the first set of friends I had, they didn't know how to interact with me other than telling Black jokes. And like, at first it was funny, but then I realized like they're telling other people other jokes and only telling me only Black jokes. And I was like, that's funny. That's weird. Don't do that. Like, not funny, haha, but funny, like, no. And I spoke to them about it because I don't like hiding things. And they were like, and then they just never told me anything funny again. So I was like, okay, you literally don't know how to interact with a Black person. Cool. I guess that's the pit I dug for myself, you know, going out to middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. But Justin, on the other hand, has actually been in some violent situations because of his race.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
That's really unfortunate. But he's also a lot less likely to do something like go to a protest or participate in a hashtag, mostly because he doesn't feel safe. And as you have seen, his family, I didn't know that his family had been targeted like that as well. Like, I don't...
Yeah. I guess... So, yeah. It all kind of like goes back to the whole, like, I just don't like conflict. It's not a matter of, like, I don't support any movements. But it's like, again, it's like just very draining on me to, like, go to a protest, not because I don't support it, of course, but because I've seen all of these, like, protest videos and all of them just getting fucking violent real quick. And
gas, guns.
yeah, like there's the gas
hoses,
guns, like people getting
dogs.
hit in the face with like non-lethals and having their skulls cracked open. Like that's terrifying.
This is why I feel like protests are a joke. I've been to one protest for the Black Lives Matter thing, and then afterwards, like looking back at it, like I feel like a clown because one, the protests, of course, we're all unifying and stuff, but like I feel like it's very like temporary.
It is.
Like
Yeah.
it's just something to do, just to make you feel like you're doing something. I feel like it's like when you go to the checkout and then they ask you, "Do you want to donate $1 to this starving child in Africa?" And you feel like you're doing something, but you really don't know where that dollar is going.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like protesting is. It's like
And
I feel like I'm doing something, but like, am I really doing something? I don't know the end result of it.
the purpose of protests are to make noise and call attention. The problem is they've become kind of commonplace. So whether or not your protest will get media attention is up in the air, because the first Black rights, civil rights protests, right? They were an anomaly. No one knew what the heck was going on. So they got a lot of media attention, and we got a lot of civil rights from that attention, because people were like, I didn't even know this was going on. Oh my God. I can't believe down in Mississippi, they, they have people and they're not even serving them at counters, and then as soon as they walk in the door, they're like pelting them with shit. I can't believe these little kids can't even walk into the school building without people shouting at them and like being so mean and hostile. Oh my gosh, because people didn't know. But also that ignorance is kind of a fault. So the protest is to strip that ignorance. It's mostly out in the air now. It's all over the internet. If you're part of the internet, you know about the situation in America. So a protest is just kind of like,
Yeah, that's
let
literally what it
everybody
feels like.
know
I'm about to get
that
into my
everybody
conspiracy theory.
but
You said that like the civil rights movement, like that worked because it was their first time experiencing it, right? I feel like protesting doesn't work now because the media is more powerful now, so
Yeah.
people are more in control of how they paint a narrative. So now when you're doing protests, you might look on like Fox News, you see a different perspective
Yeah.
of a protest, like, oh my God, Black people are trying to come in and break down the doors of
Yeah.
the Fox News studio.
Yeah.
But when you turn on CNN, it's like, oh, everything's like
Peaceful
kumbaya.
protest.
Yeah. And it's like, what's really going on out
Right.
here? And then it shows me like, it kind of lifts the veil and I see like, okay, is this even real? What are y'all doing?
yeah.
You guys look like clowns, literally. You guys are just going with what everybody else is doing. You don't even think what for yourself in a way. And I feel like the media does that a lot. It tries to separate us when we're all in the same fight.
Yeah. It is true that we're all in the same fight, and it's also true that not everybody knows how to fight. Like, there's gotta be, not to sound like one of those, what do they call them? Like you're, like if you're the more educated Black person in the room, respectability politics, not
I
in
know
the sake
it's an
avoiding
easier name for that. What's it called?
respectability. It's the term I'm looking for is respectability.
Okay.
But it's like you will need at some point to go to lawmakers and get them to start changing laws.
Exactly. And these protests not doing shit.
At first they were, and then they realized we can just ignore them. We can just make sure
Exactly,
that they're
yeah.
poor and that they have to go to work. Make sure that, their kids don't have daycare because daycare is too expensive and they have to go to work and look after kids. Or make sure that like little things like that pile up. And then all of a sudden there's a lot less steam, a lot less traction for a protest that could have been really effective. It gets gutted because the important players are taken off the field. Sometimes violently. Sometimes MLK gets assassinated. Sometimes Malcolm X gets murked, you know?
Because I feel like their initiatives is actually starting to work, and they
it's
actually
working.
see unity.
Exactly.
That's why Bob Marley got killed.
That's why exactly. So
But then they try to paint it like, oh, it was a sickness.
right, and they're like, oh, all these other things. But then the people who are left and are scrabbling to like try and put the movement back together, the key figures aren't there to like hold it together.
And they're lost.
And they're lost. The message gets lost. They'll put in people who are like misinterpreting things intentionally. That blows my mind and makes me so mad. I hate people that intentionally misinterpret what you're saying. And you make things so clear, lay it out, and it's like they will go to the ends of the earth to make it look like Karens, Billy Bobs, whoever. I don't care who you are, because it's not just white people.
Yeah, of course.
I
feel like they could be black Karens.
There's definitely black people that are taking up using the same weapons that white people use against black people, also against black people. Like, and there's also black people using those weapons against white people. And what few social credo, points we can get, like, you're dissing black people, you're not cool. That's about the most black people can do. Like, they'll blast you on Twitter or something and you'll get canceled, and they're like, you're not cool. But then they realize it doesn't really matter. Sometimes you can get somebody like fired from a job, like racist teachers that send girls home because they don't like their tank tops are showing too much, just because the little girl has more titty than you. She can't control that. That's natural. Like, and it's hot. It's middle of...
It'd be mad hot, and sometimes they don't got AC.
Mad hot, and they don't have AC. Like, she's gonna wear a tank top. And, like, this gets into like gender relations, but like teach people not to look instead of teaching girls their bodies are shameful. I have a lot of thoughts.
Yeah,
I could go on forever. I'm sorry. It's all connected. That's the sad part.
Yeah.
And the solution to I tell you, I'm really good at starting from low points and working to how to be better. I hit the mic, sorry. But so it's like the solutions are there, and like all different things are happening, and it's hard to get a look at who's doing what and what's working, what's not working, and who's getting in the way of who, and are we working together, are we working separately? And it's a whole complicated, jumbled mess, and it's kind of a headache.
Once I start seeing like corporations start like integrating certain things like BLM t-shirts and like trying to make it as if it's like a
corporate holiday,
like it's a souvenir or something that you put on your refrigerator, I'm like, the message got lost.
Right.
I'm not with this,
Right. Corporations, especially, because they're not changing their practices internally.
Exactly.
The black people.
But one thing that I did notice, they did start hiring more black people. That's the only good thing I've seen from this.
Yes, they start hiring more black people, but they
still treat them
the same or worse. They won't like raise them to higher positions where they actually make decisions, unless they're making the same decisions that a white person would have made. So they're not allowed, even if they want to. That's why there's certain corporations I cannot be a part of, because if like, say I'm the general manager of like Old Navy, and I don't want to push credit card. I worked at an Old Navy. Maybe I shouldn't say brand names.
Say what you're saying, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not gonna get sponsored by no Old Navy.
I worked at Old Navy, and all the time they were pushing us to like get credit cards. And it's like the same old ladies would be coming in and applying for credit cards every week. Every time you apply is a hit on your credit score. That means you cannot take out loans. If your house is in jeopardy, you cannot take out a loan to help you. If you have a medical bill, you can't, like, you're ruining people's lives. And it looks so small. But it's like, the more I think about little things like that, like, yeah, you could just say no, but these old ladies think they're helping us out by running their credit. Because, okay, the shift leader wants 15 credit card applications.
Right, yeah.
And it's just like, that is so messy. And I'm like, these people will never get approved for a credit card because their credit is bad. Because they keep applying for credit cards.
And it makes you feed into that system again, that cycle of just,
Right.
working paycheck to paycheck and having to pay off your debts.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what America's built on. That's
It's built
that's a whole
on
different
that
conversation.
system.
Oh my
Like,
God.
I have a lot of thoughts about
I
this.
know.
As you can see, he's very quiet. He's listening to me.
Is there anything you need to say about this topic?
I can talk now?
Yeah.
Oh, crazy. Oh, man.
Yeah. Do you have something to say?
That's the good question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So about what she was saying, I'm definitely not as involved in this kind of stuff as she is. I'm not like less knowledgeable per se. It's just I'm less involved in it. Like I'll read about it and I'll like know what's happening, but
Which is a start. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't know what's happening.
yeah, I think I feel like it's always important to be knowledgeable about everything that's going on, even if it doesn't pertain to your immediate life. Although, I guess this would pertain to my immediate life because I have a black girlfriend who I intend to marry at some point. So all of that is very important to me because, there are days where I worry that something will happen to her and then I just won't know what the fuck happened, whether it be, any case whatsoever, like literally just anything happens to her, like I'll just never know what happened.
Yeah.
And that terrifies me a lot. But
At least you're woke. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't know anything.
yeah,
And that term I kind of hate it, but
Yeah.
Um,
he's not allowed to like be asleep with me right next to
Yeah.
him. I'll wake him up.
yeah. As far as like the Stop Asian Hate stuff and the BLM stuff go, because as she mentioned before, yes, I have dealt with some of this Asian hate stuff when COVID kind of like came around. There was one time I was biking home from my friend's place like a year into the pandemic, and then a bunch of kids like pushed me off my bike and called me a chink.
Kids.
they're weird.
They were like 16 to 18.
I like why?
They
Children.
like yeah,
That makes no
they're
sense
basically
to me.
kids. I've had
They make no
people.
And then sometimes I feel like the media helps ignite stuff like that
Yeah.
too by showing them like keep showing the same images like
First of all, Trump was president.
oh yeah
at
he
the
was
time.
wilding
He
too.
was-
Oh yeah,
was
when he
saying-
called that shit kung
saying-
flu. Not gonna lie,
Yeah,
that
he
shit
was
had me
wilding.
dying. I thought that shit was funny, but
What?
I found it
Oh my
funny. But at the same
God.
time, I was like, God damn, this is really gonna fuck me over.
Like,
I'll try and find like the funny side of things, or
Yeah,
like
facts.
because it's how I was mentally wired to deal with the world.
Yeah.
Like I'll try and like make a joke out of it, because I feel like if it's too realistic, or if I like, like
do
if
the
I
same,
don't
yeah.
like take like a comical like take on it, then
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be so fucking upset. Which, I still get upset anyways.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like when I go into the nail salon they be talking mad shit about me.
Like,
They
in their
prob-
language, they don't care.
They don't care. I mean, if you don't know
Yeah.
the language, what are you
Yeah, I
gonna
know
do? Just
they
be
do.
like, yeah. No, but I don't know. Like it's definitely been rough. Definitely with the Stop Asian Hate, but I feel like they're kind of like two sides of the same coin. Like they're both like two groups that are being mistreated. Like not necessarily in the same way per se, but they are being mistreated. Like with Stop Asian Hate, it was more like the community as a whole kind of just like being against Asians, like targeting Asians. Like it's not like, oh, it's not just the cops targeting Asians, or it's not just black people targeting Asians. Like it was like a little bit of like everybody kind of like ragging on the group.
What do you think ignited that though? Because I feel like it recently, or I don't know if it recently started happening, but it feels like it recently
I
started
feel
happening.
I feel like COVID kind of brought it to a head.
It's been happening. It's just like the
Yeah,
media
yeah,
Because he
put
like-
told
coverage
you
on
his
it.
dad.
Oh yeah, you
got
did say
mugged,
that. You did
like
say
Yeah.
years ago.
It's I don't know, like Korean, Asian, not just Korean, but Asian history in the U.S. has always been kind of spotty. Because there was the there was the Chinese Exclusion Act where they didn't allow like anybody of Asian descent into America, and then once that kind of changed, they started bringing Asian people in, but they weren't allowed to marry anybody of American descent. They had all the Asians like build the railroads. I don't know. I feel like they kind of just lumped them all into like the same group.
Yeah.
And then when there was also like World War II, when Japanese people were living in the U.S. and they were the only ones that got put into concentration camps. Like
the
they were
thing is-
literally put into camps.
Other
And I feel like
Asians were
that-
included in that because
that
they
goes-
couldn't tell them apart.
That goes
Like,
into why I feel like sometimes Asian people would rather like try to act more like white passing than try to like
I
go
feel like
for like black.
Yeah, I
culture.
feel like Asians are a lot more passive. Not saying all, but like the majority, like the loud majority, are the ones who are usually pretty passive. Like they'll try to like fit into like a spot where they're not really like in the spotlight. Like they'll kind of like just
yeah, they
huddle
don't-
behind and like try to like do what's right or what's deemed as normal to try and like
They don't stir the pot.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're definitely not.
And I feel like that's why like even in corporate America they would gravitate more towards like a Asian than a black person because they feel more comfortable and they feel like they can dominate an Asian person over like a black person.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
something to think about.
It's a lot. A
it's
lot
a
of the Asian stereotypes too, of like them being hard workers and them being like perfect students, that comes from that struggle to like be seen as acceptable
yeah.
in a world where they're already othered. Like of all the others, of the blacks, the Hispanics, and the Asians and the natives, we'll take the Asians. You know, that's what they want. Well, not what they want white people to think, but like that it's a better situation.
Yeah, they're at the
It's a-
top of the other.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like it's feeding into kind of a fight for survival from an external point of view. Clearly I'm not Asian.
Yeah.
But it that's what it looks like to me. But a lot more of the younger generation of Asian, more like second generation Asian people, they'll like, instead of being the top of the other, they'll instead be like, no, we're standing with these people because these are our friends and they've supported us.
Yeah.
So if we're not all equal, let's all work together to become equal.
Yeah.
Like they're more willing to like fight or do something what's right. Because like in Asian countries, there's they're really big on like societal pressures and like conformity. In Japan, this is like huge. And I'm not as aware about like Korea, but I know in China it's like literally forced by
I feel
the
like Korea's pretty
government.
strict too.
Korea is pretty
Socially strict, maybe.
kinda. I don't know. Like they're definitely pretty strict on like a lot of things. Societal socially, and as well as like I'm losing words here. But yeah, they're
But like politically, I feel like I don't know a lot about Korean politics.
I don't know a lot, but the little I know, I feel like they're pretty strict because I think of Kim Jong-un once I think of Korea.
That's
and he's
North
strict.
Korea. That's a different one.
yeah. That's
Oh,
my,
you're not
North-
from North Korea?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
That's my long lost brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm uneducated on that.
There's North and there's South Korea. I know that much.
Yeah.
Justin
But you're
and
from
his
South.
family
I'm South.
are
Yeah,
both
Okay.
South is the
So
South
you
are
have
the
a little bit
ones
more
that are
freedom.
open. They're capitalist. I know that.
Yep.
That's where all your K-pop stars come from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
BTS.
Yep,
BTS,
that's
all
South.
of that.
All South.
All South
Okay.
Korea. North Korea is locked like a box. You have to escape from North Korea.
That's crazy.
A lot of, but yeah, I feel like in my mind, and from what I've heard, like a lot of their mentality for when they want change, because Koreans have protested about like past presidents that they've had. There was like, I think it was like 1970s or 1980s. There was a president that they really didn't like, and it got to the point where police were literally like killing people on the streets over it. It was bad. And like a lot of people were like seeking refuge and shit like that too. So Korea has its fair share of like, we don't fucking like you, so
Okay.
you know what, fuck you. But they're mentally, what they think more of is, if we want change, we have to do it from the inside.
Yeah.
So a lot of people who don't like how something is run, like Asians, they're deemed as like the hardworking, like the like, we're gonna work really fucking hard and like surpass
Straight-laced.
everybody. But
Yeah.
you know, I think it's because they kind of like, some of them had this mental like thing put in their head where they're like, I'm gonna work really fucking hard so I can change something from internally. Because like externally, like like, yeah, there's a protest and all of that stuff, but I feel like, and I kind of agree with it to a point. Like, I feel like internally is where everything needs to change.
Yeah.
Or not everything, but like, it's where it starts.
The problem is Black people systematically have been rejected from doing anything anywhere. Externally, internally, Black people who get into public office are not allowed into positions where they make actual decisions. Or if they do and they make too liberal decisions, they'll be fired, or they'll find some reason to like,
or they're
push
used
them
as
out.
a vessel to get somebody
Yeah.
else message out.
Right.
Like a puppet.
Right. They literally burned down successful Black cities. And every time I heard, like, Central Park in Manhattan was built on a formerly Black community. And it was doing really well. It was thriving. And they bulldozed those houses, forced them out, and built a cute little park on top of it. Like,
Don't forget
that's messed up.
Tuskegee.
Like, it's...
No, not
I-
Tuskegee. What's it
it's
called?
not
Black Wall
Tuskegee.
Street. Black Wall Street.
Yeah.
Don't forget about that.
Yes. Yeah.
You seen the little baby documentary?
No.
No.
They was talking about how in Atlanta, the baby lived in Atlanta or whatever, and they had the Olympics, and they broke down all the houses over there because they had to do the Olympics in Atlanta that year.
What?
See?
They did with the park. They destroyed all just for the Olympics, and then they.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck. It's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah,
That is
that's
crazy.
ridiculous. I mean, they always do that with the Olympics. Like, let's be real. Like, every time the Olympics happens, there's like some there's some controversy because they're like literally ripping up people's houses and stuff to like have the Olympics and build a whole
I didn't know
village.
that.
Yeah, they build a whole village. It doesn't just sprout up out of nowhere. There's not that free space. They tear down people's homes to have the Olympics. And it's like, at this point, pick a spot and stay there. At this point, like, stop hopping around because we don't have that space anymore.
But yeah, there's just multiple instances where it's like Black people were thriving and then they came,
Yeah.
burnt shit down. It was like,
Black banks are,
well,
as long as you're not doing well as a, or what they'll do is you get somewhere and you're following all the rules and you're doing all the right things, and then they change the rules
yeah.
so that you're suddenly
yeah.
doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And it's so ghetto. It's so ghetto.
And then
Like,
they say we're ghetto.
Right.
That's
like,
ghetto.
how pressed are you?
Yeah.
Because I can actually do the things that you expect me to fail at. Like, make it make sense. And they can't. It only makes sense in their twisted minds. And it's like, why are you in power? Who gave you power? It's gross.
It's disgusting. It makes my stomach sick.
Like, that's why Will Smith got to fight so hard just to stay popular in Hollywood. You know how many people have done worse shit on public television than Will
Yeah,
Smith?
Miley Cyrus twerking on the.
That wasn't a
scary.
If you could call like a wooden plank
Oh my God.
twerking,
Yeah,
Twerking.
literally.
I don't know. She got nothing going.
It was
Cough,
bad.
cough.
It was bad. Like, you can't even find the video no more.
Right. Oh,
They took it down on.
that's
the internet.
hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
That was bad. That was
I'm sure you could find it if you tried.
No,
hard
I
enough.
tried looking for it. It's gone off the internet. She has money. She made sure that video is gone from history. You only could tell your kids about it.
Imagine if either he was black or she was black. The whole
Right.
story would have been different.
Oh yeah,
If they saw an older black guy, it would have been a whole different story.
yeah.
Whole different story.
Yeah.
They let it rock and hear the stories that come out about that man nowadays. They be saying that he did shit. Well, Robin did.
Really?
Mhm. Oh yeah, you didn't know?
Really?
Ramen thing.
I can't listen
Like
to Suit and Tie anymore.
there's been yeah, that's a whole different dude. The-
Oh, Blur Lines.
yeah,
Dun, dun, dun.
but I mean Pharrell's on it, so
Oh yeah, Pharrell's a goat. Wait, Rob, Suit and Tie is Justin Timberlake. Sorry,
Yeah.
wrong white guy.
I wanna say something, but, like-
late. Sorry, guys.
I want to say like they all look the same.
Nah, they do look alike though.
Like, that the what I can't stand is like white mediocrity, and like when everybody's doing the same thing, and then they're like, "Oh,
And
you're
they
so
get
unique,
praised.
you're so original."
They get
Yes,
praised, yeah.
And
then when
then,
we
like-
go above and beyond to break our asses,
Right.
like cool.
they're like, "Why are you such a faker?"
Yeah,
God.
that's life. I'm sad now.
Uh,
Okay. Any last words for the people?
Don't do drugs or do drugs. Whatever floats your boat. Responsibly.
Do milk, go to drugs, and don't do school.
Oh wow. And my final words is we all black. Word to everything, we all black. I swear to you. Look it up. Go back to your ancestry. Right now, you're black. And that's my final words.
Okay, well, damn.
All
You've
right.
been inducted.
I have been inducted.
But don't say the N word. I'm going to come for you.
I was just about to ask for the card. The power.
He's like, yes, I could sing niggas in Paris now.
Yeah.
Really?
You don't even listen to that kind of
But
music. Like,
thank you for listening to another episode of Mind Over Matt. Wait. Before I even get into that, go in the link in description. Follow all of that. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that it's Mind Over Matter, baby.
follow Don Lee. He's amazing.
Yeah, follow everybody.
Yeah, check him out. He's really fucking cute.